Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome everyone, welcome Flavius, thanks for joining. Yeah, I chose a little bit of a bad time to stream, but that was my only option and I really needed to get some stuff done, so I figured I gotta stream. So, what's happening? Let me just go and go through all the tiny details. So, we are making a jam game, big surprise. If you've caught any of the latest streams, you might have seen the game. It is called War on Oil, and it looks like this. It's an action RTS sort of type of game. You control a little drone that you see here. You can move around, you can also land and take off. Taking off is a little sus because I don't have the animation for the gun to go back, so I'm just going to quickly restart and ignore that fact. But this will of course be fixed in the coming 2 days because we have 2 days to finish the game. So yeah, you can land and you can also shoot these little aliens when you are on the ground, but you can also do something new that has been implemented in the last day. You can build stuff, and you can build 2 types of buildings for now. One is a probe and one is a rig. So the main object of the game is that you'll have to mine oil, but these barrels of oil will not be on the ground at the start of the game because you'll have to mine them first. I mean, not mine, but extract them first. And to know where to build your rig, you will have to install these little probes first. So for example, now I'm going to build a probe right here by pressing E, and it will arrive from a mothership like this. Probably it's going to take a while, but for now this is fine. And as you can see, it's discovering the area around them, and for this we are using a Voronoi diagram. So the whole level is a big freaking Voronoi diagram that is randomized every time the game is run. And when you install a probe anywhere, it is going to detect the cell that is in, and it will gradually discover the borders like this, and it will also update the minimap, which you can track in the bottom right corner. And that's mostly it. So when it's done, it's going to tell you how much oil is in that cell. Maybe the music is going to be a little loud, but let me know if that's the case. So yeah, there are 3 types of resources. They are all oils, and they have these silly names called buildium, upgradium, and importantium. They may or may not stay in the final version, but yeah. So obviously buildium is for building stuff. So this is the resource that you need to build more probes and barrels, and hopefully, if we make it, some gun turrets and stuff like that, so the enemies can get it. Upgradium is something that we plan to use for upgrading your probe. For example, the speed that you travel at and how many barrels you can carry at one time. And importantium is just the main target of the game. So you'll have to extract a certain number of importantium for finishing a level. That's the plan anyway. So yeah, this is where we are at the moment. You can pick up barrels, you can drop barrels, you can build some stuff, and you can land and you can shoot these little alien dudes. But it looks like crap, but it kind of works, so you can already get rid of them. But the aliens don't have a spawner yet. They just spawn at the beginning of the level for now. I will have to fix that. And also the bigger issue is that we don't have the actual oil extraction stuff working. Because although I can build an oil rig and it will arrive in a similar manner that the probe did, but this is not doing anything yet. And also this temporary spawner stuff that you see on the ground will gonna have to disappear because it looks like crap. So yeah, this is how it's going to look, and the oil barrels will start appearing around the oil rig. That's the plan. And I also need to add a drop-off zone. So here's the base for now, and it should also have another building right next to it somewhere, which I already have the model for from our 3D artist. And I'm going to put that in the game so you can drop off the oil barrels right into the drop zone. And once you do that, you will have the resource counters updated. So yeah, that is the plan. And I really want to finish feature implementation tomorrow, because we then have one more day to balance, add some juice, stuff like this. It's a tight schedule. As you can see, the deadline is in 2 days and a little less than 8 hours. So I am going to get started right now. And we'll see where we get to today. Yeah, I'm going to check on Spotify. Is this the playlist that I actually wanted to play? Yeah, it does look like it. Good. Right. Okay. So, oil barrel drop-off zone. This is a bit of a tongue twister. Remove barrels, increase resource counters. This is going to be the first thing that I'm going to implement. And for that, I am going to use this little model file called the drop zone. Let me just show you how it looks. So I'm using the Construct 3 engine, of course. I'm always using that. And it has very limited 3D capabilities. However, we also use a third-party add-on called 3D Object, which was made by Kind Eye Games, also known as Mikal, who is an awesome person, and released an add-on that allows me to import actual 3D model files in the engine, which otherwise wouldn't be possible. So yeah, the model files should come in either the GLB or GLTF format. They can have animations, just like this drop zone has one, although I think I might need to do something with that because it's like a ping pong type of deal. But yeah, it's going to look something similar, definitely. But maybe the animation will be a little different. I'm not sure if this opening closing stuff is going to happen all the time. We'll figure it out. At first, I just need to add the object to the game. So I'm just going to do that. As you can see, I have an object templates layout. This is how I usually do things, and this is how most people, I think, do things in Construct. If you want some objects to spawn during runtime, but you don't want them to be on the first layout or the layout that you are using during runtime, you can just create one instance of an object, or maybe more than one, and separate it using different templates. And then you can dynamically spawn these objects, and Construct will use these instances on another layout to initialize the objects. So I am going to import the model file first. So it's called drop zone. I'm just going to drop it right here, and now it appears right here. So I already have this little dinky decoration that I'm not using anymore called Decor 3D Platform. I'm going to keep it in the game. This is, I think, from a Kenny asset pack or something. It was in the early game. Almost all of the models are now made by our graphic artist. I mean 3D artist, sorry. And we still have a few that are missing. The barrel is still a Kenny one. We don't use that anymore, so I can probably get rid of that, but yeah. And I think that's mostly it. Yeah, I'm still missing the barrels, and we'll need some spawner stuff that we can put over a mountain like this, and then the enemies will start walking out of the mountains. It's going to look like a cave entrance or something. So yeah, I am going to create I'm either thinking about creating a sprite first, probably, and then a 3D model object or a 3D object. Yeah, this should work. Okay, so as you can see, for example, with the rig, which is a building, I have two objects. One is called rig, which takes care of the collision and stuff. And I have a 3D object that is attached to it, which displays the actual 3D model. So this is going to be the same situation, essentially. I am just going to create a clone of this, put it right here. I am going to rename it to drop zone. And it's going to have some physics, of course, for the collisions. So this is why I just cloned the whole object from the rig, because it's going to behave very similarly. But this building is going to be on the level right at the beginning, which is now, as I'm thinking about it, is not particularly what I want. Let me just get rid of that. So we have spawners. I'm just going to use a spawner. And this is going to behave like a decoration. So yeah, okay, I'm just going to go with that. So I'm going to make a copy, and I am going to reference the model file right here and make a clone of this because I want a separate object. Okay, so this is now our drop-off zone. I'm going to rename it to something that is similar to this one. I mean, it's not particularly a decoration, but I guess I could also say that it is. So drop zone, yeah, this is fine. And I think I'm going to adjust the scale a little, because it should be a little bigger. Let's double its size. If comparing it to the rig, I think this is roughly all right. The middle seems to be in the right position, I mean the origin, so this is fine. The initial width is something that I need to set up, and I'm not going to get into the details of this part, but yeah, I'm just going to say it's 80. And yeah, I think this is all right. Now I also need to modify the spawner object, which I'm using to spawn a bunch of stuff on the level. So for example, this, sorry, it's logged. So this object is called spawner, and it has a bunch of animations. And I can just make a copy of it. And if I want to replace this mountain spawner with, for example, a enemy spawner, I can just do that. So similarly, I'm going to add a new animation for this. And I'm going to, I'm just going to clone this. As you can see, base is also working in a similar way, but base is not going to be something that can that you can interact with. It's just for show. So I'm just going to copy it, and for now I'm going to name it Decor 3D Drop Zone, because this will match the 3D object name. So to make it look like this one, I'm just going to quickly create a little screenshot, a sneaky one. Boom. And I'm going to replace the animation for this spawner. And that's about it. Just going to remove the background. Okay, it looks like crap, but I don't care. This is only for internal use, so I'm just going to crop it a little. Okay, this is all right. I am going to ask construct to detect the polygon shape, which is quite close. So this is fine. Let me just enable these little grids. Yeah, it's roughly all right, but I'm going to decrease the size a little. So this is just for my OCD. Okay, more or less. So I am going to change the animation to Decor 3D Drop Zone, and I'm going to place it somewhere here. Oh, the origin is a little bit off, but now it is not. Okay, so hopefully if I just run the game now, maybe it should already work, maybe not, we'll see. Okay, it's definitely working, so that's a relief. So the way these spawners work is that essentially they just spawn another object with the same name as the animation name on the spawner object. So yeah, if I increase its size, hopefully I can also make the actual 3D model be bigger. Yeah, I think, yeah, this is now roughly the same size. So I'm just going to leave it as is. Maybe rotate it a little. This should also be reflected on the model. Yeah, it is good. Okay, maybe this is a little too big. I don't know. I can decrease its size. Okay, you're gonna laugh when you see what I'm making. I am definitely sure about that. Are you making the? And I don't want to spoil anything. That something pizza related, because that freaking brush is amazing, and I also loved when I saw that. So yes, good. Just stick it in this Discord server when it's done. I'm sure it will be hilarious. Also, we have a Discord server now that I mention it. If anyone watching would like to get some notifications about my streams or possibly updates to our games, then this is the place to hang out. And also it is a place to hang out because we have a few channels, although the server is quite new, so there's not much activity going on, not yet anyway, but hopefully it will come one day and people will start talking about game dev, because it would be really nice to have a little community. So I'm going to quickly hydrate and move on to the functional part of this drop zone stuff. Right, okay. I need to check out how the spawner logic actually works, because I distinctly remember that it has some separate logic for decoration type of deal. Okay, I'm just going to open the spawner event sheet. So this is where the spawner object is initialized. But as you can see, if the spawner's animation name starts with something that is decor related, so it starts with the word decor or decor, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, then what happens is that the spawner object is actually kept. Its physics behavior is enabled, so it will act as a collider for the enemies, for example. And that's mostly it. So the spawner object actually stays there. But if it doesn't start with that, it will just destroy the spawner, which is also okay, I guess. But this is not what I want, because I do want the spawner to stay, because it will act as the collision polygon for this object. So our enemies are quite slow at the moment. Let me just move this object a little closer. And right now the aliens are following the player. So if I move right here, the enemy is will try to get to the player's position. And as you can see, they can't really go through the spawner. And this is because the spawner object is there. I mean, they can't go through the drop zone, but this is because the spawner object is right there. So I think this is going to be fine. However, what is the issue at the moment is that if I pick up some barrels, I can't really drop them in the drop zone, because there's a check that runs that is mostly for decorations like these mountains or the base, so it doesn't allow you to drop anything in these objects. However, this is not exactly what I want. I'm gonna have to think about how to do this not in the dirtiest manner possible. So let's see. For objects that the player can build, we have a separate object. For example, the rig is something that is comprised of two objects, a rig sprite and a rig body 3D object. And the same is true for the probe. But the drop zone will be just a static object, so it's going to be there at the beginning of the level. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to make an exception. So if the player is over a spawner that has the animation decor 3D drop zone, then it's gonna have to allow the player to drop the barrels. I think this is all right. But I'm going to make some changes to the terminology that I use. So let's go with at first with the I have a little macro somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. So I'm just going to change this to static, because decor is not something that I completely agree with. The drop zone is certainly not a decoration. but it is a static object that is not going to move anywhere, and it is right there at the beginning of the level. So I'm just going to rename this to static, and also for the spawner, I'm going to make some changes, because all of these names, decor 3D, blah, blah, blah. Actually, I'm going to keep it static 3D, I think. So I'm just going to rename those just for my OCD's sake. Good. I also need to rename the objects. Oops. So other than that, I don't have to take care of any refactoring, I think, because I use the macros to reference the names, or use the actual animation names in the spawner to reference them. So construct is going to take care of all the refactoring or the renaming part. Hopefully. Let's just see if I screwed something up. The game is seemingly still working, which is a relief. So yeah, this might be it. Okay, now what I also need to do is to create a little object type macro. These are the macros that I use to store the names of actual objects, object types. So for example, for the rig, I have a OT rig macro that is called rig, which is the same as the object's name. So I need one for OT drop zone. However, this is a little tricky. I think I'm actually going to use this name. So it's abundantly clear which object I'm referencing. And this will be the macro that I use to check when the barrel dropping validation stuff happens. And if the spawner below the player is actually playing this animation name, then the drop should be allowed. In fact, it should be encouraged, because that is one of the primary objectives of the game, to drop barrels in the drop zone. So okay, I am going to move on to the player action sheet. These are event sheets which only have custom actions in them. I prefix those with the letter A and put them in the actions folder. So the two most important actions are the init, which runs when the player object is created, just the ones, and tick is something that runs every tick for the player object. So dropping stuff is handled in a separate custom action. So if the player is pressing on the drop button on their gamepad or their keyboard, this drop cargo if possible custom action, not the greatest name, but it's fairly clear, I think. So this custom action runs, and this is where the validation is happening. So at first I check if the player is carrying anything at all by checking the size of the player cargo array, which is in a container with the player, if I remember correctly. And yeah, this is just a drop the bounce timer check. So the real check below the ground, I mean, the check for the ground below the player is happening right here. So, okay. Let me just decrypt this stuff, because I made this like 2 weeks ago or something. It's in Discord. Okay. Yeah. This is good, Flavius. However, the issue is that I still don't have the freaking Discord stuff set up in a proper way. However, I am going to get my phone and check it. 1 second. I also turned on some lights because I was getting a little dark, I think, in the camera picture. So let's see. Okay, where am I? Okay, share your art channel. Good God. Please show the nerds as well, because this is this is exactly the kind of thing that they are going to lose their crap on. Yeah, this is fantastic. Can you actually pop the link from Discord to the chat, just to be sure? This is fantastic. I'm not going to show my phone screen because that would be crap, but yeah, thank you, Flavius. Let me just open it. This is amazing. Also, it's a funny coincidence because the colors of these two balls of ice cream are actually a little reminiscent of something, but maybe, I mean, it's probably just a coincidence, but these are the butterscotch colors, I think. Yeah, kinda. And also, I can't help but notice that there is no pineapple on that pizza ice cream. So yeah, this is going to probably take some beating in the nerd channel. Although mice will probably like the fact that there is no freaking pineapple at all. Vanilla and strawberry, right? It's amazing. Nicely done, Flavius. Slightly cursed, but I would definitely try it if that was an actual thing, for sure. Just for kicks. Right, okay, so where was I? Yeah, the drop stuff. Okay, let me just... Okay, so drop cargo if possible. This is where the spawner is actually checked, I think. So for the cargo that the player is about to drop, I save the cargo's current coordinates and the size, just the radius essentially, not the radius but the diameter, roughly. And this is where I check for overlaps. Yeah. So I need to add a little check here, because if there's a spawner and it's not playing the OT static 3D drop zone animation, then the drop should be blocked. I think, hopefully this is it. We'll see. I'll send it to also, definitely you should send it to the nerds. Send it to the nerds and see them laugh. Go for it, Flavius. And by the way, feel free to leave anytime. You don't have to stick around just because you're a mod, but I appreciate if you can, of course. Lovely to have you here. But yeah, I realized that I chose a bit of a wrong time to stream because the nerds are also streaming at the same time. So okay, drum roll. Okay, the dropping is definitely not possible at the moment. I can still drop barrels, but not in the drop zone. So this is sus. Damn it. Okay, so I also have a hunch that something else is a problem. I'm just going to add some logging. So drop is blocked by spawner.uid type, and I'm just going to say, oh, I already have a hunch why this is happening, but I'm just going to make sure. So spawner.animation name, I'm also going to log to the console. So I am going to run the game as usual, but I'm also opening the developer console. By the way, if someone is new to Construct actually works in the browser completely. So this whole thing, the editor of the game, everything is running in Chromium. So I can just use the Chromium DevTools. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, I'm going to try to drop this here, and it says drop is blocked by spawner something something probe. Yeah. So this is the spawner that I'm actually picking, which is a bit of an issue. Anyway, so this is actually a bug that we encountered. So I'm just going to have to take care of that. So the spawner is also something that I use to allow the player to build buildings. So the player has a spawner attached to them, and it's moving along with them. And this spawner is actually blocking the drops right now. So this is a problem. I am going to make a little bookmark here, so I can just double click right here, and it will jump to this position. I'm also going to remove this bookmark, although this is something that I need to care of later, but this is completely unrelated. So yeah, I will have to check another custom action, which is something along the lines of add player spawner or something like that. Let me just check. Okay, so it's right here. This is where I actually add a spawner object to the player. And I wanted to see if I distinguish it in any way. I do add it as a child for the player. So this could work, I guess. Maybe it's not the best. So I can pick if the spawner is not a child of the player, I guess. Spawner has parent, I guess. So if any spawner has parent, I'm just going to ignore them, because spawners normally won't have any parents. Only the player is something that can have a spawner child, I think. This is not the greatest way to achieve this, but I think it could work. So I'm just going to say if the spawner has no parent, then I'm going to pick one that is overlapping the position and go with that. So let's just pick up this barrel and try to drop it in the zone. Okay, it's definitely in the zone. Let's try to drop this barrel here. It's not working because it's blocked by a spawner that is the base, which is good. And now if I move here, this was also a bug, so I couldn't drop the barrel right on top of the spawner, but now I can. So it looks a little sus, but this is also going to be removed, this object, I think, or maybe replaced with something that is completely different. Probably like an outline of the building that you're about to build, because this is the actual spawner that you leave when you are requesting the building of something. Okay, right. So this is all right, I think. We have another issue, but I'm not going to go in details what it is, because I don't think I will allow the player to pick up to pick up barrels, transport them, and build stuff while they are doing that. Or maybe I will, I don't know. Right now it's not possible to start building while you are carrying stuff. So yeah, this is another overlap check that is happening. Okay, so I can probably drop these barrels in the drop zone, which is all right. But they are still in the drop zone, so I can just pick them up as well. So this is something that I need to implement. Celine said we made crimes. Bernardo said that the cone is filled with pineapple. Of course he did that. Of course, he is paid by the pineapple lobby, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. You are bringing back Cursed Art, Flavius, with that freaking ice cream. Right. Okay, so I actually need to take care of these drops. And let's just take a look at how this custom action works. So cargo is something that can be carried by the player. Right now, I think the only thing is in the cargo family is actually this barrel, but this might change later. So yeah, this custom action called drop tween is called when the cargo is about to be ejected from the player's grasp, if you will. And this is where the tweens are starting. So there's the elevation tween and the position tween. The position tween is for making sure that the cargo actually emulates the player's current velocity. So if the player is traveling and dropping something, I don't want the cargo to drop in a straight line on the ground. I actually want it to drop in where it would have been dropped if the player's momentum is taken into consideration. It's a little bit of a sus implementation, but it's better than nothing. So the other one is this Z elevation stuff. And as you can see, this tween is done using a out bounce easing. This is why the barrel does the little bounce when it hits the ground. So this is something that is alright if you're dropping the barrels on the ground, but I don't want this to happen if the player is dropping stuff in the drop zone. So Flavius also said, when you said it, I took it as a challenge. Yeah, I got that feeling as well. Yeah. I actually never asked for a curse dart on the nerd stream when they were doing the curse dart redeems. I think I didn't, at least. So I'm glad that you actually made my dream come true and made this cursed pizza ice cream stuff, Flavius. It's great. And it doesn't have any melting cheese, or what was the other thing that Celine was also always adding to the cursed arts? I don't remember. But it was for some freaking donut stuff. Cheesy donuts? I don't know. My memory is so crap. Okay, let's get back to this. So drop tween. Okay, this is called in only one location, right here. So this is where the drop happens. And I think I might want to extend this custom action so I can actually tell the game what type of drop animation should be, or drop tween should be playing. So there are only two types, so I'm just going to use a is type of parameter. So is on ground, I guess, or maybe it should be is in drop zone, I guess. And by default it should be 0, which means that it is not in the drop zone, and this is where I play the bouncy Z elevation animation. So I'm just going to add a little check right here. Variable is in drop zone, yes, which is a macro which is for true-ish stuff. It is just a global constant with the value of 1. This is what I use instead of booleans in construct, because passing boolean values to functions and custom actions is not really possible. I mean, it is possible, but you can't just reference a value, or I mean a variable, when you do that. So I don't use any booleans in construct because of that. I just use the number variable and 0 and 1 for false and true, or no and yes in my case. So okay, if the drop zone yes is actually true, this is going to be a drop that does not bounce. So the bouncy one should go here. The position I think should be the same, I guess, but this should definitely be a different one. So drop Z elevation, freaking magic numbers. Do I have a little constant for the bounce stuff? Because the bounce easing has a couple times that the function almost hits 0, but not proper 0. And the first time this happens, it is at the 36% mark, I think. And I probably put that in a, yeah, in a constant. So yeah. And I also don't need the out bounce easing this time. I wonder if I should choose a different easing. So drop, 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 drop. Okay, I mean bounce. It looks like this. So a curve that is similar to the first part of this function, I think, could suffice. So it speeds up a little. I don't know, let's go with that in quad. Why not? It doesn't matter. It's not going to show too much, so in quadratic should be. Oh yeah, the donut definitely was a crucial part of most cursed art by the nerds, by Celine. Yeah. So in quadratic easing, and whatever the original time was multiplied by the bounce magic number or whatever. Okay, so this is okay, I guess. Just to be totally sure, I'm going to add some more logging. So this is going to be a straight drop, and this is going to be a bouncy drop. Oops. Yeah, I'm also using this magic number for the 36% stuff right here, so this should work fine, I guess. The position tweening is shorter than the Z elevation one. Okay, so now that I modified this custom action, I just need to figure out whether I should call it with no or yes right here, and this should depend on the fact that the player is dropping the cargo in a drop zone or not. So I think I'm going to make some modifications right here. So if the spawner is actually not playing the drop zone animation, then the drop should be blocked, but otherwise it should be allowed, and I should probably use a different local variable to signify whether this drop is in a drop zone. Is in drop zone was, I think, the name of the variable that I used in the other place, so I'm just going to use that as well. So is in drop zone is 0 by default, but if the player is actually dropping the stuff on a spawner that is playing the drop zone animation, I should set the value of is in drop zone to yes, and right here I just need to reference this variable. So is in drop zone yes. Let's check it out. So if I if I pick up 2 barrels, I drop one of them right here, it gives me the bouncy drop stuff, and I did see the tween, so this is the bouncy tween. But if I drop it right here, it gives me the straight drop, which is good, because I don't want the barrel to bounce when they are hitting the ground. There's no Z collision in construct, but yeah, I emulate it. So yeah, this is where I need to get rid of the barrel completely when the tween actually finishes. So I think I'm going to distinguish between the 2 tweens as well. So let me just check once again. So right now I'm using the tween tag macro, tween drops at elevation, and I think I'm going to either use different tags and catch one of them, or maybe I could just do something different. Oh, this is fine. I'm going to make 2 macros out of this single one. So drops at elevation is something that I already use. Bouncy is going to be the current one, and the other one should be called drop zone, or maybe I should just use drop zone and ground. Yeah, why not? So ground, done. And right now let's see where we use these. So we definitely use it in a couple instances. This should be fine, I think. This is for beaming, so this is for picking up stuff. It checks if this drop Z elevation stuff is not playing. I think I can do the same for the other tag. So Z elevation drop zone should also be checked. So the player is not able to pick up something that is already dropping. They will have to wait for it to land. Okay, this is the other part that I think is no longer in use. Oh no, this is something else. Tricky. I'm going to have to add another macro because I'm also using this tween tag for something that is unrelated to the cargo. So I'm going to rename this to player drops at elevation. Oops. This happens sometimes. We crashed. The good thing that construct usually crashes in a way that you can still save your project. And that is exactly what happened right now. So I'm going to open the project again. Let's see. Okay, so this is not referenced anywhere. Good. This is in fact referenced in a couple places. So I'm just going to rename this. Change this. Player drop blah blah blah. And also I need to funny thing is that I'm pretty sure that yeah, I'm using a different tween anyway for the player Z elevation stuff. Okay, let me just fix that. I'm sure this part of the stream is confusing but yeah, please bear with me. I am going to take care of the whole thing and move on quickly. So this is actually not even used, so I'm just going to remove this, I think. The whole thing. Right, so we don't need this macro anyway. Good. So right now when the player leaves the layout, they are immediately killed. This will be delayed, and there will be some information that appears on the screen that, hey, you should go back to the layout, to the level bounds, because otherwise you are going to die. And the death animation right now, or tween, looks like the player is dropping on, out of the air and landing on its side. I'm going to show you that in a second. I'm just going to finish that part. So drop zone, okay, this is something that I still need to check. So, okay, this is fine. We already fixed that. This is where the drop stuff is happening. Check if a grounded or still dropping cargo is blocking the drop. This is all right. And this is fine to only check for the ground drop stuff. And this is where I actually need to make the different tag appear. So if the cargo is falling in a drop zone, I actually want the other tag to be referenced, so it is falling in a drop zone and not on the ground. Good. I wonder if we made any freaking bugs during this chain of changes. So let's pick up some barrels, drop them. This is fine, they are bouncing. Let's drop these right here. I can still pick them up, which is temporary because they are not disappearing, not yet anyway. But this is the next thing that I'm going to do. Hopefully this is going to work fine. I'm going to remove these messages, and I actually need to add some on tween finished triggers. So if a cargo is finishing a certain tween called tween, what was it called? Drop Z elevation drop zone, then this means that I need to activate the cargo, add its value to the resource counters, which are just variables, global variables. So I need to actually add a new custom action for the cargo. How do I name it? So this is where you actually drop some stuff in the drop zone, and it should disappear and be consumed, I guess. I'm just going to call it activate. It's a little ambiguous, but I think it's alright. So this should be called when the tween is actually ending. I'm not quite sure if I have to add the for each right here, but just for good measure I'm going to do that. Because for timers that are ending on the same tick, you do have to add the for each. And I'm not sure if it's the same case with tweens. So, although I'm pretty sure that it's not going to happen, but maybe it will, I don't know. While the game is single player, I don't think it would be possible to have a cargo hit the drop zone at the same time, because you're dropping them off one by one. This is something that I use a debounce timer for example. Also, there are all left checks and stuff like this, so yeah, never mind. I'm just going to say cargo activate. I screwed up, so once again, cargo activate. Good. And this is where the cargo should completely disappear, so I will definitely destroy it. Also, let me check if the cargo has some variables that I might also need to set. No, not really. However, something that is very important is that I add the actual values of the resources that are in the cargo. So I think I'm going to add it to the cargo family, because why not? Okay, I am going to call it, no, I'm going to have to add separate variables for each resource, I think. Right, I don't remember how I called the resources. I mean, I remember their names that are showing on the UI, temporary one, but I think I have different names for the variables. Yes, so there's resource, no, sorry. This is resource build, resource upgrade, and resource target, and the variable names are these. But the resources are actually called buildium, upgradium, and importantium in the game, which are stupid, and hopefully some players will find it funny. So, resource, I'm just going to copy these variable names, I think, because why not? So resource build, resource upgrade, and resource target are also instance variables of the cargo family, and because of that, instance variables of the barrel object type. So this is good, and I just need to set some values. I have a single instance of the barrel right here. I need the actual sprite. Okay, so I'm just going to, for now, say that the resource build, or the buildium resource, should be something like 100 in a barrel. This is not going to be the way that I do this. It's not going to be initialized right here, which is why I didn't name it with a big R prefix. So these will be actually set when the barrel is spawned by the rig. So when the barrel is extracted, or mined, but not mined, whatever. Okay, so let me just move on and try if, finish this activate custom action, which was right here. So I need to destroy the cargo object, which will also destroy the 3D model, but I also need to add some values to the global objects, global variables. So I'm going to say add to resource build cargo.resource build, and do the same thing 2 more times, but with the other resource variables. And just for my OCD's sake, I'm going to change the order like this. Not that it matters a lot. Yeah, should be fine. So if I now drop a barrel in a drop zone, it should be destroyed immediately, and the buildium value that you can also see on the UI should go up by 100. Indeed it does, which is good. I'm just going to quickly try something. Yeah, I failed to pick up the barrel even though I was holding the space. So yeah, this is okay, I think. So now you can actually turn these barrels into resources, which is good. It looks a little bit like crap, but it's working. So oil barrel drop-off zone. I tumbled on this the first time I read it. Remove barrels, increase resource counters. This is boom done. And I'm going to save the project, make an actual build, and whoops, and upload it to the itch page. So if anyone who is watching is feeling the need to try the current build of the game, which is not exactly a game yet, but you know, just have a little fun with the build, they absolutely can, because I am putting it up on itch right in a few seconds. So, ooh, this is interesting. The Butler CLI is not working for some reason. Let me just check if my firewall is acting up. Interesting. It's a hostname lookup problem. Let me just quickly check something. Interesting. Maybe itch is down a little. That happened a few times in the last couple of weeks. Maybe not all servers, but yeah. But the one that should receive the build is definitely not working at the moment. Interesting. So the script uploads the current build to itch, and it also uploads it to our server. So there's also a possibility to play it using a different URL. So if this is not going to work for now, I'm just going to link this in chat, just for good measure. So, okay. Crap, I don't have the little open. Oh yeah, there it is. Good. So let's try again. No, this is definitely not working, which is suboptimal. Whatever. Maybe I need to update it manually. I don't know. I'm not going to deal with that right now. Not on stream, definitely. So I will just give you the URL. It should be this one, and it should say build 20, I think. Or was the current build number? Yeah, it's 20. I'm also going to save the project as a new file, and also bump up the version number to 21. Okay, so build 20 now has the drop zone, and I can definitely drop these in and they will turn into resources. This is cool. I'm just going to pop this in chat, so if anyone feels the need, they can check out the current build of the game on our little server. So yeah. Meanwhile, I'm going to try using the itch CLI later. Hopefully it will work. This is probably some temporary issue. So yeah, okay, let's get back to the game and let's get back to the to-do list. So buildings don't have any health yet. They don't have any visual way of indicating damage. They don't have destroying animation, which I have no idea how we are going to accomplish anyway. We haven't even talked about this with the 3D artist, so this is something that we need to discuss at one point in the next day or two. Never mind. So oil rig is something that is absolutely crucial and at this point, because it's not possible to actually extract oil. I always want to say mine oil, but you don't mine oil, you extract it, right? Never mind. So I need to fix that. I need to create a functionality for the rig, because right now the player can build rigs like this, selecting the build plan, pressing a button. This is Q and E, by the way. For if you press Q, then you will toggle the two build plans, and if you press E, then you will build the currently selected build plan. So yeah, you can build the rig, but nothing happens. So this should just start extracting the oil from the current cell, and this is going to be the next feature that I will implement. Also, I wanted to show you the stupid little tween that I do when the player is leaving the level bounds. Oof. Okay, so I figured that this is the easiest way to do it. It's not going to work like that in the final version. So my plan is to add a little extra padding around the level. And if the player is further from a certain distance, which will also be signified by some visual changes, maybe another ground texture or something, we'll discuss this later, then they will receive a little warning on screen that they absolutely have to return within the allowed radius from the middle of the level. And if they don't, then they will see this excellent tween of the player's ship's Z elevation and also the little 3D angle stuff. So yeah, that's the plan. That's the big freaking plan. Yeah, okay, I'm going to get started with the rig, but I will just quickly hydrate first. Okay, so how are we doing on time? So implementing this and talking about it took me an hour, which is not great. I'm just going to try to have to speed up a little because I still have a crap ton of stuff to do. So, okay, let's get this rig working. Right. So, here is our object called rig. It has some values that are inherited from the building family, but I will also need to have to add some values, I guess, that are rig specific, because I do want the rig to have a value that determines how much time they need to extract a certain amount of resources from the ground. And I think these should be on the rig object. So I'm just going to add a couple. So for stuff like this, which I set in the editor and not during runtime, I usually use instance variables on the objects, but I prefix them with the uppercase R letter and the little underscore. This stands for rules. So this is a rule that is either changing or not changing during runtime. It can change, so it's I can't even make constant for an object instance, but this is fine. So I'm going to call this I need two values, I think. One for the amount that is extracted during a task, and one for the length of time the task is taking. So I'm quickly going to think about this, although I can change its name at any one point. So yeah, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to say extraction amount, and I'm going to set it by default to 10, and I'm also going to set the value of extraction time to 1 second, and I also need to I don't need to specify the resource type, because this will be determined by the cell that the rig is in. So yeah, this is all I need, I think. So extraction amount is the amount of resource or oil that is extracted during this amount of seconds. Okay. So let's do some stuff for the rig. For now, I only have this A buildings action sheet, which takes care of some generic building related stuff. So the building family contains two objects for now. One is probe and one is rig. They can both be built by the player, and they have some common stuff which are set up by this init function and also the onLanding function or custom action, and they also tick. However, the probe already has a start task custom action, and I think I'm just going to do the same thing for the rig. So I could put these in a different action sheet. I may or may not do that later, but for now, since the probe and the rig are both members of the building family, I figured that this is all right. Anyway, this is a solo project by me, so I don't have to fight over code rules and stuff like this with anyone. which I'm very thankful for. I would not like to make game jams in a team where there's more than one coder. Yeah, so rig, start task. And I think I just need to, at first, get some information about the cell. Also, cell ID is something that I set on the building, right? Okay, yeah, so yeah. Level is covered in cells, and when I place a building, the cell's ID, which is just an incremental number, is saved onto the building. So I can access it by saying rig.cellID or something. So I need to check some stuff on the cell. So I'm going to need to pick the cell. Cell variable cell ID, or just ID, is equal to rig.cellID. So I'm going to pick the right cell that the rig is in. And I also need to check if there are any resources left in the cell. I don't know if I actually, yeah, okay, I did that before. So resource amount, if it's bigger than 0, I'm going to continue. And if not, I am going to have to make some feedback for the player to tell them that the cell is done for. All resources have been extracted by rig. Maybe there was more than one. So yeah, I think I'm also going to do something like that. I spawn a little blurb, which is a sprite font, along with all the buildings. So I am going to need to pick the one that is a child of the rig object, and I can use it for showing some information for the player, or to the player. So I'm going to say UI text sf blah 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 fake 3D something, set text, cell depleted. These are probably going to change, but for now this is informative. So okay, so extracting cell.resource type. Also extracting rig dot, whoops. What was it called? Damn, my brain, ouch. So it was R something, yeah. Extraction amount per, yeah, maybe time should be, yeah, I need to do some maths right here. Why am I so crap at this? Okay, so I need to calculate the amount that is extracted during 1 second, regardless of what value is set for the rig as an extraction time. And to do that, I'm going to have to do something like this. This is monkeys in front of a typewriter type of deal. I don't really think stuff through, so let's just go with that. So oops. This is going to look like crap, but I don't care. I'm just going to need to check if it's even working. So I'm going to build a rig right here. Oh, I don't think I've called the start task anywhere. So yeah, this is definitely not going to work. So let's just check where I do the same thing for the probe. Okay, so I do it in two parts, of course. So on landing, okay, this is where I actually do some probe specific stuff. But I could totally do some things that are building specific, not probe or rig specific. So this part, for example, I'm sure that I could do somewhere else, hopefully. But for now, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do the same thing for a rig. If I can, rig, pick by UID, building.uid. So this will only pick rigs. And I mean, I think this could work. We'll see. I can also move this here. So this is generic. The initializing text label will appear for every building. But what I need to do is to start the task for the rig. I'm not sure this is actually something that I need to differentiate, but for now I'm going to do that because both the probe and the rig have start task custom actions. However, they are not custom actions on the building family. So yeah, this is fine for now. Yeah, I don't need to do this. And yeah, I think this is it. So if the rig lands right now, I'm just going to try if the probe is still working, by the way. So let's build a probe and let's build a rig as well. So initializing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is fine. I kind of missed what happened with the rig, so let's just build another one. Okay, so it's not working particularly well because something is definitely missing. I wonder if this on-landing stuff is called correctly. Yeah, it should be. I'm just going to copy this logging stuff right here. So, oops, I'm in here. Initializing rig and then rig.uid. Let me just check if this part is actually working by checking the console. So if I drop rig right here, it should have a little message that says initializing rig. Yes, it's right here. So this part is definitely running, which is a relief. However, the start task stuff is probably not. I'm just going to create a bookmark right here. I can remove this one. And let's go back to the place where we are calling this custom action. I'm going to put a little bookmark here as well. So the building is spawning this stuff, which is good. However, for some reason it doesn't seem. Oh, yeah, that's the part that's missing, I think. So let's try that again. I forgot to make it visible for the rig as well. So it should now say something. Yeah, it looks like crap, but extracting blah blah blah. This initializing stuff is something that I think we could probably skip, I guess. I mean, it's going to be replaced anyway. Yeah, so start task is something that happens that actually yields a barrel. So I don't want to call this right away. I want instead to call a timer that starts this stuff. So yeah, let's go back to the place where I'm calling this, and instead of doing that, I am going to do that. So start timer. The timer should be something rig.r extraction time, and it should be called timer. And we have one for cell discovery, but this is of course not the one that we are going to use. So the timer running on the probe is called timer cell discovery. Similarly, I'm going to say timer extraction, I guess. So this will be the stuff that I call for the rig. Okay. I'm going to replace that. Extraction. Okay. And this is going to be moved. And whenever a rig has this timer event, it is going to run the start task. Custom action. And start task should also be the source of this timer. So the first one is right here. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, this could also be a regular timer instead of just a one-off one. But then I have the problem of not being able to upgrade the extraction time for existing rigs. So I'm just going to keep it like this. It fires a one-off timer right here. And when the start task is called, I'm actually firing another one. But I also only need to do that if there are any resources left to extract. So I'm going to move this right here, I guess. Let's see how this looks right now. Let's build a rig. Now the initialization stuff should show up as well. Okay, and now it switched over this other text, which is more or less looking fine, I think. I need to add a little space right here. Maybe some more spaces right here. And I'm just going to change this text, extraction finished. Right. So whenever this I could also do something like extracted this amount yeah, I'm going to simplify some stuff. So extracted this amount in this time. And also this resource type needs to be moved right here, I think. So amount, a little space, and then this one displays the resource type, and then this shows the time. So it's actually not calculating the extracted amount per second. It just shows you how long an extraction step takes, which might be a little more informative, I guess. I don't know why I'm picking up these. Okay, sorry. Let's build a rig. So now it shows initialization at first, and then extracted buildium in seconds. Okay, this is fine, I guess. Some more sussiness, but okay. Let's just change the rig's parameters, so it's not actually 1 second. Let's just say it's 2, and maybe I'm going to bump up the amount extracted to, I don't know, 15 or something, just for kicks. And let's go back here, fix the little spaces and stuff like this. There was one missing right here. Maybe this is a little better. Although this is once again maybe temporary UI. I'm not quite sure where we are going UI wise. Okay, sorry, I have too much fun picking up barrels. I always try to pick one up when I'm starting it. So initializing extracted 15 billion in 2 sec. Okay, not great. Let's just go back to this. Maybe remove the space as well. And also this blurb stuff, I'm going to increase its size a little so it doesn't wrap too soon. Okay, let's build the rig. So now we are almost ready. We just need to actually pump the resources from the cells. 15 billion in 2 seconds. Okay. Good. It doesn't look great, but it serves the purpose for a first implementation. So I'm just going to decrease the amount in the cell. So subtract, no. Or maybe, no. I can use set value. No. Cell set value. What am I doing? Sorry. Cell set value, and resource amount should be cell.resource amount minus rig.r extraction amount. But this should also be, of course, surrounded with this. So I can't go into negative values. So if the last bit is smaller, then this will just be the amount that is extracted in the last oil barrel, I guess. Okay, so extracted amount will be the variable actually that I store this stuff in. So set value extracted amount, and it should be the smaller, no, the bigger number between cell.resource amount or the extraction amount. Right, so this is choosing the smaller number, right? Okay. No, it should choose the bigger one. I'm an idiot. Okay. So if there are only 5 left in it, no, it should choose the, no. Confused.exe is working in my head. Yeah, it should definitely choose the smaller one. So if there are only 5 resources left in that cell, then they should be chosen instead of the, for example, now 15. So yeah, good. And yeah, I just need to update the cell once again. So I removed that part. So I'm going to say cell, and I'm going to overprotect this part of the deal because I could just subtract, I think. I mean, why not? Let's just do that. What could go wrong? So resource amount, extracted resource amount, and this should in the end result in 0, I guess, hopefully. So yeah, once this is done, yeah, the timer is called once more, but this is fine, I think. So you can still catch the last amount that is extracted for a bit, and then it will change to extraction finished. I think this is all right. So I will need to check this out. Also, the values that I'm using right now on the cells are quite a bit higher. So I think I'm going to crank up the extraction amount to something like 30. Let's see how this looks. So I'm going to build a rig. Of course, right now we don't have any information about the amount of oil in it, so never mind. 30 upgradium in 2 seconds, and it should at one point change. Extraction finished. Okay, this is good. Okay, let's do the normal thing, or the typical use case. So I'm placing a probe right here. It will tell me that there are 58 kiloliters of upgradium. I don't know. And now I'm building a rig. I don't know if this is going to update actually with the rig mining stuff, but we'll see, I guess. I don't think I did that. Yeah, it's definitely extracting the stuff. And for some reason, I didn't really catch the last part. It should have said 28 because it extracted 30 at the first run, I think, and then it should have extracted 28. So this is a little sus. And also the probe needs to be updated as well. So buildings, start task. Yeah, I'm just going to create a custom action for the probe called update. And I'm going to move the part that that I right now have here to determine the amount of oil that is left in that probe. Yeah, so I'm going to call probe update right here. And just move this, I guess, to here. Right, I will need this as well. Yeah. Okay. So probe update is taking a probe, picking its text blurb, and also it's picking a cell which has the same ID as the probe's cell ID, and then it displays this text, which is good. And also when this stuff happens, I will need to... So, I mean, when this stuff happens, I will need to pick all the probes which are in the same cell, so which have the same cell ID as the rig. And I'll just need to call the probe update custom action on them as well, I think, after the whole extraction stuff happens. Okay. Oh, this I forgot to update. So rig extraction amount is the total capacity of the rig, but this I can just replace with extracted amount. And of course I need to set it at first. So at the last extraction phase or task, it should be the smaller amount that is still in the cell instead of the maximum capacity of the rig. Okay, let's build a probe. Let's build a rig right here. Now I'm just going to wait for the probe at first. Oof, it's a big one. So it's 6 cells, or maybe 7, I don't know, whatever. I'm going to build a rig. And now this cell has 25 kiloliters of buildium. So if I build a rig right now, which values did I use? It was 30, right? Yeah, it's going to mine everything in one task, which is also something that needs to work, of course, possibly. So let's see. Initializing, extracted 25 buildium in 2 seconds, and now this says this stuff. Okay, so if it's 0, it should say something different, I think. Yeah. Where am I? Right here. Okay, so if the cell I could just use a little ternary operation right here. So if cell.resource amount is, I guess this, I mean, I could probably do something like that. If it's more than 0, then I should display this, and otherwise I should no oil left. It's not good, but it's going to serve a purpose. Okay. Also, let me just dial back the extraction speed a little. Let's see, 10. Okay. Also, we'll also have to spawn the barrels, but at first I want to make sure that the extraction is working otherwise. So it's depleted from the cell. I mean, the resources are depleted. Okay, so 66. I'm going to build a rig right here, and then it's going to take a couple of seconds because it's going to extract 10 every 2 seconds. And at the last one, it should say 6 kiloliters of importantium, and then it should update. Both the probe and the rig should update. No oil left. Okay, extraction finished. Good, I think. This is neat. I'm going to take a quick bio break and hydrate first, and then I'm going to add the barrel stuff, which I have no idea how to do. I mean, I have no idea where to place the freaking barrels, but I'll figure something out. So I will be right back in like 2 minutes. And I am back. So let's get those barrels working. So right now we have this barrel object that is actually spawned a couple times by these temporary spawner stuffs, but these will gonna have to be removed because I don't really want any barrels to be on the ground in the proper version. But for now, for testing purposes, I think this is fine. So I need to figure out a way to spawn the barrels and spawn them in a non-sussy position, which is gonna be a bit of a trick, but maybe not that much of a trick. So I figured that the barrels should appear around the rig, the mining rig. So I could theoretically do something like just placing a barrel and then at a certain distance, at a certain angle, and then increase that angle every time a new barrel is placed or spawned. So they will not stack, but they will nicely be placed right next to each other in a nice little circle. And the only problem of this approach is that if the circle is too small and there are too many barrels from a rig, which shouldn't be an issue because we could just balance the game, so it's not possible to mine, I mean, to extract that much oil from a rig or from a cell anyway. But yeah, they could theoretically overlap, but I don't think I'm going to deal with that. I am just going to add a little state variable for the rig called barrel spawn angle, I guess. And the radius is something that we can probably either store in an instance variable as a rule, or I can probably also use the size of the rig object and add some padding to it or something. I don't really worry about this part, so I think I'm going to increase the size of this a little bit. So its collision polygon is also updated a little. So let's go with 48 by 48, and I think I'm going to place the barrels like this. Yeah, I'll probably add some padding because I don't want the barrels to overlap with these legs of the rig either, so yeah. Okay, I am going to get this stuff working. So buildings. This is where I extract the stuff. I just need to add the barrel spawning thing. So rig. No. I'm going to have to calculate the positions. So create object. Let's create not a rig, sorry, a barrel object. Add the same layer as the rig. So rig.layerName, I guess. They should also all be on the main SSAO layer, I think, but never mind. And for the X and Y positions, I'm going to need to say rig.x, rig.x plus, and this is where the sine and cosine stuff is going to have to go. So cosine rig dot barrel spawn angle, or what was it called? Barrel spawn angle, exactly. Times, and now I need to figure out the radius. So I'm going to have to put it in a constant at one point, but for now I'm going to say 100 and do the same for the Y position. But instead of cosine, of course, I need sine. And this is all right. I need to spawn create the hierarchy because the rig has a 3D object as a child. So this is all right. And I will also need to pick the barrel and set some values on it. So hopefully this will pick it. So barrel set value, resource targets, whatever. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, I need to if it right here, I think. So yeah, or I could just use one amount. Have I started using this yet or not? Yeah, okay, this is okay. This is totally fine. So theoretically, we could have barrels that have more than one type of resource, which doesn't really make any sense because they shouldn't mix probably, but this is okay. So I'm just going to check the variable in cell called resource type, and if it's the same as RT build, then I should set the barrels, so barrel set value and resource build should be whatever is the extracted amount, and I should do the same thing 2 more times. That was sus. Why is it this freaking slow? Maybe my PC is dying? I don't know. So if the resource type is in fact the upgradium or the importantium, yeah, it was called target, right? Okay, then I should set the right variable with the extracted amount. So yeah, this should put the stuff in the barrel, I guess, hopefully. If this is not going to work because of some picking issues, then I will have to create a spawn object, I mean custom action for the barrel, and do it there. Okay. Yeah, I also need to increase the barrel spawn angle with a certain number, which is also going to be a magic number if I put it right here, but for now I'm going to just do that. So rig add 2 and barrel spawn angle, and let's say 15 degrees. Why not? So just so we can test the many spawning barrels, I'm going to set the values. Extraction times should now only take half a second, and the extraction amount should be just, I don't know, 5, so it's definitely not going to extract stuff too quickly. Okay, let's build a freaking rig and a probe as well, why not? Pretty good. Barrels can be picked up, and I'm going to transport them right here. And indeed, they are adding to the variables, I mean to the global variables for the resources. That's good. Right. Let's build another rig here because it has a bunch of buildium. Also, I'm going to make some more probes, do some testing. Okay. I'm thinking about this animation of the drop zone. Maybe it should start the animation when the player is hovering above it, with some barrels, possibly, and stay there, I guess. Yeah, okay. I also wanted to make sure that the other variables are working fine, so I'm going to build a rig right here and extract this 29 kiloliters of importantium. Whoops, I screwed up. I went over the freaking bounds of the level. Let me just restart the game. So let's build a few probes here and there. And let's wait for the probes to finish. Okay, so this is upgradium. We don't have any upgradium yet, so let's just extract everything from that cell. It's only a measly 14 kiloliters, but hey, that's good. So I picked up all 3 barrels. I'm going to drop them, and then the upgradium should shoot up to 14. Indeed, it did. That's good. I guess this is a tick for the to-do list. So oil rig can be built. It has the function of producing barrels. It does not have the juice that the oil is spilling from out of the top of the tower. So this I might add as well, because when we are finished with that, I will just need to add the defensive turret, possibly. Let's check the to-do list, because it has a bunch of crap, and I'm pretty sure there are more critical stuff than the defensive turret. So solidly, yeah, the level boundary stuff is a work in progress, so I'm going to mark it as such. Responsive viewport is not very important. Audio is quite important, but Tibor is doing that part, and he'll be here at one point, probably in an hour or something, maybe less, because yeah, we are going to keep jamming for a while. I'm not sure if it's going to be on stream, but we'll see. So yeah, keyboard shortcuts for mods, blah blah blah. Okay, so this is UI stuff. I will need to once again consult with Tibor, because he's doing the UI. We talked about the build menu. We'll see. Space to break. Hold stand still. What did I mean? Okay, yeah. So pressing space should slow the ship down. I don't think I will add that. I mean, unless requested. So I'm just going to put it right here. Button to break. Hold to stand still. Yeah. Because you can control the ship quite alright, I think. It's not very unresponsive, so I don't think you'll need the brake. Extendable beam. Yeah, this is something that Tibor suggested, but this is mostly juice. This is in Hungarian, sorry about that. Let me just translate that. So upgrade mechanics. Ship, rig, probe, etc. So upgradium is the resource that we plan to use for upgrading some stuff. So you can upgrade the ship's movement speed. Right now you can carry 5 barrels, but in the beginning we figured that it should be a much lower number, like 1 or 2 or something. But you could upgrade the carrying capacity of the ship by spending upgradium. What we have no idea about, because we haven't really talked about, is that how this upgrade UI should look. Is it something that is constantly in the UI and you can do it every time, or is it something that you can do, for example, if you hover over the base? So the base could have a freaking function, maybe. We'll consult about this. But yeah, upgrade mechanics is definitely something that is quite important, because otherwise we don't need the upgradium resource. So performance checkup. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I'm definitely not going to do that on stream because it's probably boring, and it will also showcase my complete and utter ignorance when it comes to optimizing 3D stuff. So we'll see. Camera zoom, okay, this is optional. Player building auto repair, yeah, it could probably be a good idea to implement that. Visual cell hints that appear from time to time, yeah, okay, so these are not too big stuff, but I have a feeling that I probably missed some important things as well. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to crack on and add some juice to this rig stuff. using a particle emitter. So what I want to do is to create a new particle object, put it right here, just draw a single white pixel that we can color and resize later. Okay, so it should probably work in a 360-degree cone. I'm going to turn on preview. This is something that you can't do in the free version of Construct, but hey. And I'm going to say the size should be something quite small, I guess. Grow rate should be negative, I guess. And I'm not going to spend too much time making this look good. I just want to try if it even works, because what I want to do is a little sus. What I want to do is to spawn a bunch of these particle emitters on top of a rig, and they should have a little tween that tweens the particle emitter's Z elevation, so I can get 3D effect. But this may or may not work. And also, I'm pretty sure that yeah, I will need to do this as a one-shot type of deal, so like this. And if I spawn them continuously, then they could look good. However, this is something that will probably impact the performance quite a bit, so yeah. Speed randomizer is also something that I think I will probably want to change, so okay. Most. Okay, so it's a little more different. Let's just go with that and see how it looks. I'm not even going to bother coloring it. What I just want to do is to have these particles spawn at the top of the rig. Now, to determine the Z elevation that I need to spawn them from is a little tricky probably, because I don't really see its size. Okay, I'll just try to figure it out by trial and error. So yeah. Okay, because I can't see the Z height, I guess. I mean, I could probably rotate it, right? And figure it out. So what if I say this? And now it should be the width, which is 85. If I undo it, it's back to 90. So I guess 85 could be a good one. Okay, I will need to put this in a constant definitely. So I already have a bunch of Z offset constants, so I'm just going to add the new one. So Z offset rig particle. That's it. And I said 85, I think. So I'm just going to use that for now. Also, I'll need to add a little timer, a macro, timer, rig, particle, spawn frequency or something, spawn frequency, and it should be something quite low. Let's say 0.1, as in seconds. What am I doing? Sorry. This is just a macro, a tag. So okay, let's go here. And when I'm initializing the building, the rig, I will probably need to start this timer stuff. So yeah, for the timer, I'm going to start, for the rig, I'm going to start a new timer called timer rig something. And it should be a regular timer, but I will need to turn it off once the cell is depleted, of course. So this should probably start working after the landing, which is good. I'm just going to make a timer event. So rig on timer, rig something, And in this case, I'm going to spawn another object. And another object should be this particle stuff. It should be on the same layer as the rig. Layer name blah blah blah. Or maybe, yeah, maybe not that layer, because the rig, I'm pretty sure, has the SSAO turned on. And I probably don't want the SSAO to work for the particle emitter. So let's just put it on the other layer, which has no SSAO on it. So there are no shadows around the little pixels that the particle is spewing. And that's it, I guess. Right, so this spawns 1. I will need to set up some kind of easing function, I guess. I wonder if this is going to work fine for me. I think it could. We'll see. Okay, so particles. At first, I'm going to have to add the tween behavior. Tween, okay. And I will need to start a tween for one property. I'm not going to bother with the tag for now. I'm just going to say property is Z elevation, and I want it to be either 0 or something negative. Let's go with -15. And it should take 1 second to do that, to reach that. And also I will need to add this easing stuff. So this should probably give me the effect that I want, that the Z elevation of the particle emitter is raised for a little bit and then it goes down and it will end up somewhere below the ground. So also time 1. This is the same life time of the particle emitter, so I guess it could work. Ease, what was it called again? Ease in back. In back. I think I can destroy it with the tween as well once it's finished, because why not? Yeah. Okay, so this could work. I think I probably forgot something. Yeah, I forgot to set the initial Z elevation of the particle emitter. So set Z elevation, and let's go with that nice macro that we create, not macro, constant. So Z offset rig particle should be set before this the whole tween stuff is started. Right. I have no idea if this is going to work, so I'm just going to try that. Let's build a rig. Not exactly. I mean, it's sort of working, but I can't really tell. So the elevation of the camera can be changed a little, so let's just lower it a little bit so we can see the Z elevation tween, if it's even happening. It doesn't really look like it. I mean, it probably does, but okay. Maybe the particle emitter is too quick. It's fading to invisible in 1 second. What if I change it to 2? I may want to change the building times as well, but okay, it's definitely better. It's way too much. I mean, the amount of particles is way too much. Let's go with 20. And also, what if I change the color to black? I mean, we talked about the 3 types of resources, the 3 types of oil that the player can extract. So they should have different colors, definitely. So this should just match whatever type of resource is in the cell that the rig is placed in. But for now, I'm going to go with black, which is the classic oil color, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so the initial Z elevation is also pretty wrong. This 85 stuff. But this might be because I think there's a good chance that I'm spawning the rig not on the 0 Z elevation, so maybe I just need to take the rig's current Z elevation into account, or maybe the 85 is just wrong. We'll see. That looks similar. So I'm going to change the 85 to 65. And also before I do that, I think I'm going to make some changes to this particle emitter as well. Let's just further reduce the amount, no, or maybe not reduce this one, but maybe the frequency should be reduced a little. Yeah, to do mn, I'm going to make a note because this is a magic number which I don't like in code. Let's double it. This is the frequency that the particle emitters are spawning. Yeah, this doesn't look great. Let's just move this back to 0.1 so it's more continuous. However, the speed at that the particles are going maybe is a little too fast, I guess. I'm going to reuse the random component. And I'm also going to increase the fade time a little. So the fading is, I'm pretty sure, linear, and you can't really configure it, so let's play around with the tween time as well. It definitely looks better. Yeah, maybe the easing is not so perfect because I would have liked it if it went up a little higher. But this is pretty good, I think. So I'm going to reduce the size of the particles just a little, and I'm going to move on very quickly because this is something that I can get lost in too. I mean, lost in, yeah. So by default, it's 8 pixels. Let's half that. And grow rate is -10, so this should be just, I don't know, -5, I guess. So it doesn't decrease so quickly. Not bad. I have no idea what this stuff does in my case, but I mean, it's not bad. It doesn't look that good, but I'm going to leave it as is because it's a first implementation. So juice, oil spilling out from the top of the tower, done. I will need to make a little note to customize the color of the particle emitter, definitely. Yeah, I guess. So when I am spawning the particle emitter, I'm going to make a little to-do comment. So to-do, use resource color, I guess. Boom. We have a couple of to-do comments, by the way. Not too many, just you know, a crap ton. Yeah. So once the to-do list is over, I will have to go over the to-do comments. Some of them are just you know, stuff like, hey, clean this up because it looks like crap, but some of them are actually functional. So yeah. Okay. Right. This is fine. So the player can now build stuff, but yeah. Yeah, the buildings don't have health, they don't have damage visuals, and they don't have the destroy animation stuff, so I think I'm going to go with this. Yeah, so this is partially mechanic, partially juice. At first I'm going to start with the mechanic, but I'm going to make a new build. Because this is quite a big change, I guess, that you can mine oil with rigs. This is something that I wanted to do quite early in development, but as you can see, I only ended up doing it right now. So I am going to replace the current build. Let's see if the itch.io uploader is now working or not. Doesn't look like it. Crap. I wonder why. I mean, I could Google this, but I don't really like doing this sort of thing on stream, so no results for this. Oh, crap. Let's look for itch butler CLI. Maybe there's a new version. Although this looks like a version check anyway, which fails. But I don't really get it. I mean, if the version check fails, it doesn't even try to upload this stuff to the servers, seemingly. What the heck is happening? Okay, this doesn't look too good. Down detector. Is it .com? I don't give a crap. itch.io. Is itch.io down? I did use another service a couple weeks ago when itch was down for a bit. I'm not sure if it was this one. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some sussiness. Okay, I am going to ignore that. And we still have the link in chat at the last message. It's a little quiet today, but this is fine. So if you open this link right now, you'll be able to see the latest changes, which entail building probes and oil rigs. And now it seems that the oil rig also has this little nice visual stuff with the particle emitter, and you can also put these in use. Something is sus. Yeah, it's increasing the buildium and the upgradium as well. I left a bug. Whoops. Build, upgrade, target. Okay, so what am I missing? Okay, let me just check quickly with the debugger. But before I do that, I think I'm going to remove all these barrels, or at least most of them, because I don't want them to be on the layout. So I'm going to run the debugger, and I'm going to build a rig right here. So we only have one barrel, which was placed on the layout with the spawner, but now we have a bunch of other ones. So if I just pick a couple, let's just check these out. So this one, for example, has resource build and resource upgrade also set, which is weird. Oh yeah, I know what's going on. I forgot to set back this to 0. Yeah, let me just patch that. So 21B, and quick export and upload just for good measure, and then I'm going to move on to some more development. Also, let me check if yeah, Tibor is actually asking me if I'm still doing the thing, and indeed I am, so he'll hopefully join soon. Okay, so I think I finished with the export, yes, but not with the upload. Okay. Good. I mean, there are probably a million bugs, but I'm going to just crack on and do some more feature development because we really need to make the buildings destructible somehow. I'm not quite sure how am I going to do the visual bit because I kind of forgot to talk this stuff through with our 3D artist. I mean, I can probably add some sort of crappy billboard-based explosions on the buildings and then maybe turn the buildings black, but the rig is already pretty much black. I don't know. And I'm not even sure if I can use the color overlay. Okay, maybe I can. I mean, on 3D models. Okay, it works, which is good. Maybe you should use this color overlay also for signifying damage with a little tween or something. Good. This is reassuring. So yeah, I'm going to implement the whole building damage stuff. We already have a rule instance variable on the building called health max, and we already have a health instance variable, but we don't use any of these anywhere. So let's just fix this. So when a building is created, the init custom action is run on it. And I just need to set the value of health, in this case, to self.r health max. So the building should start with maximum health. And after this is done, I will need to... At first, I will need to make sure that the enemies are actually attacking the buildings instead of just following the player around. So, yeah. This is a bit of a spiral or something. Because right now the enemy logic is not the one that I want in the game anyway. So this is where the enemies are ticking. And how does this work? So the enemy is moved toward an angle, and the angle is calculated by setting a certain target position on the enemy, which is good because this is exactly what we need. But right now the enemy is also... Wait, what am I missing? Target X. This is an instance variable, right? On the enemy family, or isn't it? Oh yeah, it is, but it's hidden. Yeah, so it's right here. So when the enemy is ticking, it's right now setting its target X and target Y values to the player's X and Y positions, which just means that they are always zooming on the player or moving towards the player. Right. So at first we need to make the enemy smart, which is nice. I have not included this part in the to-do list, so I'm just going to do that right now. So enemy AI. So I want them to probably just walk around or maybe stay in a position. I don't know. It would be more realistic if they walked around, but we do have an idle animation, so okay. Crap. We need a state machine. I think I made a comment with the state machine. Yeah, basic enemy spawn state machine. Yeah, this is right here. So yeah, I kind of did some planning, but it's not really fleshed out. So state machine, idle, walk around, move to target, attack target, die. These should be the enemy states. So I think we should probably start with the whole spawning thing. And although we don't have a spawner object yet, we do have a spawner which spawns the enemy. I mean, by object I mean the 3D object. So yeah. Also, do the enemies have health? Seemingly they do. Is this even set correctly? Yes, it's initialized right here, and yeah, the enemies can be killed because the player can shoot them. Then this change health custom action is called. Okay, so this is good. I'm going to need to add a change health custom action for the buildings for sure, so I'm just going to set that up quickly. Building change health. Whoops, typo. There will be an amount, and I'm just going to do whatever is here. because we have the exact same thing happening for the enemy. So I'm just going to replace the enemy object. No, I'm not. Okay, never mind. Can I do it one by one? No. It's weird because our max health, maybe it's not the same naming convention. How could have this happened? Yeah, it has health max, not max health. But yeah, health max was the good one. So let's just change it for the enemy. So health max. Okay. So now that I did this change, I'm going to copy this, or you know what? I'm just going to copy the whole thing like this and remove these. Crap. Boom. Okay, and now I'm going to replace the enemy object with the building object or family reference. So if the building change health custom action is called with an amount, then this amount is taken from the health with a little clamp function to make sure that it doesn't go below 0 and it doesn't go above the maximum health. And once the building is dead, the health is depleted, then it immediately gets destroyed, which is fine. I'm just going to make a little to-do here, to-do animation or something. And I'm also going to put this right here as well, because the enemy already has an animation, which is something that I'm going to tackle soon. Also, I think I forgot to bump up the version number and make a new version of the project file, so I'm just going to do that right now. So B22, build 22 is the one that we are on. Good. Right. Right. Okay, so let's check the to-do list. So spawn from caves. Yeah, right now they are not spawning from caves, but I'm going to mark this as almost complete because the enemies can in fact spawn. Now, the whole idle and walk around stuff is interesting because I do want the enemy to walk around when they are spawning, so they don't stay in the same position when they are spawning, because they will spawn from cave entrances, and I actually want them to just start moving around a little. So, we can already move enemies, which is good. Right, I'm going to need to think some stuff through. And also, I'm pretty sure that I want the enemies to have a line of sight. By the way, my voice is kind of going away, so I might end streaming pretty soon, because I don't want me to sound crap on the internet, so we'll see. Okay, so enemy. There's only one enemy, but I put them in a enemy underscore family, because it's possible that we'll add some more. At one point, anyway, probably not before the deadline. But right now, I just want the enemy to have a line of sight behavior, so I need to add it on the family. Line of sight. So this will allow me to have a little enemy that is actually more aware of its surroundings. So I need to set some initial values for this. So the enemy object, which is a member of the enemy underscore family, now has the line of sight behavior. The range should be something that is really not that far, like 500 pixels or something, and the cone of view should be, I don't know, 60 degrees. Let's go with that. Right. And I don't really want the enemies to see through stuff, so I think I might want to add the solid behavior on a few things. Although we are not really using any movement behaviors that take into account the solid behavior, I think. Or maybe we do. Maybe the projectile of the player is doing that. But we are destroying the projectile when it hits something solid anyway, so this is fine. Okay, so this is okay, but what we actually need is to add the solid behavior on the spawner. because the solid behavior will be the one that determines whether an enemy can see through, for example, a mountain, and I don't want them to see through that, so I'm just going to pop the solid behavior on the spawner. And right now we have a spawner instance right here, which should probably have the solid behavior, or maybe not. No, it shouldn't. But we also have one here. So the physics behavior is also turned on, which is weird. I remember, no, it's just turned off. So by default, the physics behavior is turned off. And now I'm also turning off the solid behavior on these static spawners. So when I'm setting the physics behavior of the spawner to enabled, in certain cases, I also want the solid behavior to be enabled, I think. Let's just look for that. Okay, so it's right here. So when the spawner is initializing and it's checking if it's a static spawner, it's spawning something static like a rock or something, I'm enabling its physics. So I'm also going to enable the spawner's solid behavior in this case. Right. I guess. We'll see. Okay. Let's just check that again. Okay, this is disabled, so yeah, I don't need this anymore. And I don't need a select check there either, probably. We'll see. If there are any bugs, then I'll probably do that, but yeah. For now, this is fine. Okay, so the line of sight behavior is added to the enemy. It would be great if I could easily visualize that, but I can't really do that, and I'm not going to bother manually doing that, so I'm just going to trust that the enemies are actually seeing stuff right now. So what I want to do is to have the enemy check for stuff. At first, when they are spawning, I also want them to set a certain task, I guess. Because all these states that I listed here will be tasks, essentially. So yeah, I'm going to have to add a new instance variable on the enemy family. Which will be task. It's going to be a string, and I'm going to use a bunch of macros, I think, for this. So let's make some macros. Okay, I'm going to create a new tasks comment and add some macros under it. So task spawn walk, I guess, will be one. This is the first task that an enemy is going to get. This is just for walking out of the cave that they are born in. And after this finishes and there's nothing else to do, I think the enemy will just receive a new target. So they should walk there. Or they could also wait around a little bit, but this is okay. So let's just go with spawn walk as the first task. Then we definitely need a walk around, or just walk, I think. This is just a peaceful walk, so if the enemy has nothing to attack, then they will just sometimes spend some time walking around the level. We should also add a little idle task, I guess. So we should probably do some randomization. So if the enemy has finished a spawn walk or a walk or an idle task, then they should randomly select between walk and idle, I guess. So sometimes they are constantly walking around, or sometimes they are stopping, I guess. And what we also need is to add a macro for attacking, I guess. So attack. I'm not sure if we are going to need to add more macros for this, but for now this is fine. Let's just go with that. Okay. Oh, sorry, I bumped the mic. Okay. So when an enemy is initialized, I want them to choose a new task. So the enemy should really have a set task custom action. Which takes a task parameter and sets the enemy's task instance variable to that task parameter, I guess. So when they are initialized, I can already call enemy set task. Oops. Enemy set task with the parameter task or task spawn walk. What? Oh, crap. Yeah, I screwed this up. 1 second. Task should be a string. Okay. So now do that again. Set task. Task spawn walk. And spawn walk should also do something. So it's not just the task variable that we are setting, we are actually telling the enemy where to go. So spawn walk should be in a straightforward direction. This is going to get riddled with magic numbers, I'm already sure. So, okay, enemy. If the new task that we set, or I can probably say just variable task. So if the new task is actually task spawn walk, I want the enemy to set a new target. So this part is, I think I'm already going to disable this, and I'm going to set this right here. So the enemy should start walking out of the cave just in a straight line, and this just means that the enemy.x plus cosine enemy.angle times the distance that I want them to walk. So let's just go with 50 for now. And also I'm going to do the exact same for the y version. So target, god damn it, target y, enemy.y plus sine enemy.angle multiplied by 50. And let's get some freaking magic numbers out of here. I'll probably add some constants right here. So enemy, whoops, see enemy spawn walk distance. It's going to be a fixed number for now, then later I can randomize it or something. This is fine. I'm just going to say that it should walk at least 50 pixels, maybe 100. And now I can replace this number. See enemy spawn walks distance, blah blah blah. Okay, see enemy, same thing. So this is fine. This is just a new location for the enemy to go to, and the tick stuff will actually take care of moving the enemy. Okay, so if the new task was spawn walk, this should probably work. Now I can probably test that out right now, because when the enemies are spawning, they are spawned somewhere and they are all moving in a direction, and then they should probably stop. Yeah, they are doing this little tricky walk, but this is because I'm not setting a new position, so they are standing around in place. But this is cool. I can just yeah, I will need to detect when an enemy has reached its target. So to do that, I'm going to have to come up with a threshold of a distance, I think. Question is, do I want to do the whole thing here or maybe in set task? But I should probably accept set task without a parameter, I'm guessing. Thinking. Yeah, let's just do some detection first. So if distance enemy dot x, enemy dot y, and enemy dot target x and enemy dot target y is less than I don't know, 5, 10, no idea, to do mn. Once again, this is a magic number. So when the enemy has reached its target, they should probably do something else. In certain cases. Because if they are attacking, they should probably just continue attacking. Okay, so I'm going to say set task should be called in this case without a parameter. And I'm going to handle all the AI stuff in set task. So if you call set task with a certain task, then it's going to get set and it's going to, it's going to heed the parameter, but otherwise it's just going to figure something out on its own. So enemy set task, boom. So I think I can probably do something like this here, and if enemy variable, or I can just say so if the task variable was in fact empty, I'm going to set some task for the enemy. Carry out chosen task. So this is a two-parter now. At first I set the task of the enemy to something, and if the task is empty, I'm actually setting it to something else. So this is where I need to check, for example, if the enemy is seeing something that is an enemy for them. So like a building, or maybe an oil barrel, I don't know. Let's just gradually do that and we'll figure it out. And I'm also going to add the crap ton of logging so I can check if things are in fact working the way they are intended. So enemy has lost to object. And that object should be, for example, a building. Now, buildings are only the probe and the rig. So, for example, the base and the drop zone are not included in the building family, which is maybe a little confusing, but this is actually fine because I don't want the enemies to attack the base or the drop zone, because I don't want the base or the drop zone to be destructible. At this point, this might change, but then again, I could just add these to the building family sort of later. So yeah, this is choosing a target, and this is prioritizing buildings. So if it fails to choose a building in its line of sight, then it can still try to choose a cargo. But of course I only want them to choose a cargo that is not being carried. So cargo variable check. Yeah, I might have made some mistakes. Yeah, shit. Or did I? cargo variable check. Oh no, okay. My brain is shutting down. So if the carrier UID of a cargo object is equal to nothing, which is shorthand for -1, I don't care about them, because it means that, I mean, I do care about them, because this means that the player is not carrying that cargo. So, okay, try to, or just look for buildings is the first one, then look for cargo is the second one. So the enemy will prioritize buildings, then go for cargo. I don't know why, we might change that. And if this doesn't happen also, then I guess the player could be a target as well. So if the enemy has line of sight to an object that is in fact the player, and the player is on the ground, so target Z elevation is equal to, I have a macro for this, right? Maybe not. I'm pretty sure I do, but I can't remember how I named it. But I can look for it, definitely. Yeah. Let's just make a bookmark here. And also I'm going to remove the bookmarks from the previous feature stuff, so the rig. Okay, so let's just check something. So the player family has this instance variable called target Z elevation. Oh crap, I remember now. Yeah, it's actually, the rule is on the player, so yeah, I remembered. So if the target Z elevation is equal to self.r flying Z, no, grounded Z elevation, this means that the player is in fact grounded. So if the enemy has line of sight to a player that is grounded, then they can set it as a target, I guess. Yeah. Good. And in this case, I do want the enemy yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do in these cases is to set the enemy's target X and Y variables, and also the task. So in this case, it's going to be building.x and building.y. In this case, is going to be the barrel.x, or I can go cargo, right? Yeah, I don't know why I screwed this up, but yeah. So cargo.x and cargo.y. And also I want the logging stuff to be added. So enemy something is moving on cargo.uid, something like that. Oops. Okay, so I log some stuff to the console when the enemy is changing tasks. So enemy is moving on building something, building.uid. And right here, enemy is moving on player. I mean, there's only one player, but technically there could be more than one with some changes. I'm not saying it would be easy, but I try to do some stuff that if we ever make the decision to convert this to a local multiplayer game, that I don't shoot myself in the foot. So yeah, this is how I usually do things, even for freaking jam games, which might be overkill, but Hey, I do like local multiplayer cooperative games, so or this might get crunchy. Player.y. Okay, so we also need to set the enemy's task. So enemy set value task attack, I guess. Or maybe not. Yeah, we need to decouple some things, I think. Because if an enemy is seeing something in the distance, they first need to walk there. But the question is, what am I going to use this task variable for? Let's just go with attack in these cases. And I haven't thought that through, so we might change that part. Okay, so this takes care, I guess, of the attacking stuff. What I also need to do is to make the enemy do stuff. Don't eat while you code, you'll eat your thoughts. Well, Flavius, if I do, then I'm screwed, because I eat while coding all the freaking time. I didn't know about that rule. They didn't teach it at not a university, so... Okay. Look for cargo, look for player. I forgot to add this command. Right. I forgot how to drink as well. Oops. Embarrassing. Let's just take care of that. Oh, if I can. Wow, my capabilities are really suboptimal today. Okay, so I'm going to need to add some logic that makes the enemy walk around or just stay in one place. So if there is nothing to attack, I'm going to roll a little dice. For now with a 50% chance per chance. Random 0, 1 is smaller than 0.5. Why not? I mean, I could theoretically do this. Why not? Maybe it's a little more readable. And otherwise, so this is where I'm going to put the idle stuff. So enemy set value task idle. And on the other one, I'm going to give the enemy a little target just to make things interesting so they don't stay in the same position all the time. So task walk. And in this case, I will need to make some changes to the target X and Y positions. Yeah. Or I can also do something like setting a random target right here, but delaying the execution. Okay, let's just do that for now. So even if the player is, the enemy is going idle, I'm still going to set a target X and Y position for them. And they are going to execute that after the idle state. That sounds okay, I guess. So yeah, I'm going to have to add some more constants. And in this case, I do want some min-max stuff. So enemy walk distance min should be something like 50. And the max should be 200, I don't know. Also, I'm going to reduce this to 50 as well. So, forgot to rename it. So walk distance max should be the other value. So when the enemy is choosing a new target, I'm actually going to reference the distance, but not here. I first need to, I need to do some stuff. So I first need to come up with a distance for the enemy. Enemy walk distance. And I also need to come up with an angle, or do I? Yeah, I do. So enemy walk angle, and I'm going to have to randomize these. So at first I'm going to say, whoops, set value. Enemy walk angle should be completely random, yes. I mean, it's not great, but because the enemy can go off the level, for example, but I don't care about that at this point. So I'm just going to say random 0, 360. So it will choose an angle completely randomly. Similarly, I'm going to set the enemy walk distance to something between random C, enemy walk distance min, and max. And once this is done, then I'm going to reference the values right here. So cosine of enemy walk angle multiplied by the enemy walk distance variable. And similarly, I'm going to do the same for the y version, but of course I'm going to have to change x to y and cosine to sine, I guess. Whoops. Thanks, autocorrect. Okay. And when this happens, I will also need to roll the dice and make sure that the enemy is sometimes waiting around a little bit. So I will need to set a timer for sure. Oh, it's Tibor. 1 second. I'm also going to have to probably stop streaming. 1 second. I will be right back. So yeah, the Tibor has arrived, and I kind of forgot to mention that I'm still streaming, although he knows that I did start streaming. But just for good measure, I think I'm going to quickly pause for a couple minutes, and I will be back in like probably 5 minutes, and we'll figure out if we want to stream together or maybe just end it for the day. So I will be right back, guys. So I am back, and we made the executive decision to end it at this point. So because we need to talk about a crap ton of things in terms of decision making on how the game's certain aspects should work. So yeah, we can't really just get started with UI and music and stuff like this, because we need to figure out some things. Definitely the UI part. So right now I am going to stop streaming. I'm going to choose a raid target because I'm pretty sure for one thing that the nerds are on, and they are super nice, and why shouldn't we raid someone? So yeah. Ooh, I see that they are still looking at these 2.5 dimensional stuff. I also see a giant fart cloud, which is good. So yeah, I'm just going to set up the raid. I don't think that we have too many people here, but for anyone who's here and doesn't know the two nerdy nerds, they are a super nice game dev couple. They are working on their new project, which they are just starting right now. So it's exciting times. They are using Godot, and they are going to go 2.5D this time after they successfully released their first title on Steam in a few weeks ago, called Super Cat Cafe, that game. So yeah, I'm going to set up the raid. Boom. And thanks to everyone who was watching, and I will be back probably next week sometime, but as usual, I can't really tell you when, so you're just gonna have to join our Discord server, of course, and get some notifications about this sort of thing. Let me just, ask the bot. So if anyone wants to know when our next stream is or when we are updating one of our games, feel free to join our Discord server and apply some nice roles to get the notifications. So thanks again for watching, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.